Hi, Liesl. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
Thanks for having a quick chat with me here in the beautiful city of Cape Town. For those who are not familiar with you, who are you and what are you all about?
All right, so my name is Liesl De Wet. I think I started supply chain in the supply chain industry in 2007.
Okay.
And then moved into supply chain sustainability in that journey. So we were quite fringe at the time. I think it's more of a well-known element now around supply chains. And absolutely love supply chain. When I first when someone said supply chain, I was like, but that's trucking and warehousing. But actually it's addictive, it's a lifeblood of any economy. And I absolutely love the industry. So I've been in the industry for quite a long time. In and amongst that, started with a few ventures. So we have the Africa Supply Chain Excellence Awards, which promotes and celebrates supply chain excellence in Africa, a topic I'm really passionate about and love. And yeah, in a nutshell, that's basically me.
Okay. And where are you from? Where have you lived? I think
So,
I see you've moved around a little.
Yeah, I was born in Takai, actually, here in Cape Town.
Okay.
I moved up to Joburg, did all my schooling and my main years in Joburg, and then came back to Cape Town now recently. So,
Okay.
yeah, and that brings me back to Cape Town. Traveled a lot through work as well. Was very privileged to go to Europe to understand what the hydrogen economy looks like there for transport.
Okay.
That was really interesting. It's phenomenal the amount of research and support that they have there for that, trying to get it mainstream and to find alternatives to fossil fuel. So that was really exciting. And but Cape Town is my home, mother city, and I absolutely love it here.
Okay. We've been exploring around for a little bit, and I would say, I think my wife and I were both looking at Table Mountain and the mountains and the 12 apostles
Yes.
on the other side. And I'm just like, geography and this nature here really adds a lot to the feel and the vibe.
So inspiring. We literally have the most incredible biodiversity in the Cape. And the fynbos, I don't know if you've heard about fynbos, it's actually our local ecosystem here. So the proteas, all these beautiful wildflowers that you see, the animals, and it's just amazing. And you feel like you are living in the ecosystem here, and it actually brings to the fore exactly how important supply chain sustainability is when you're in an environment like this.
Certainly. We can see the ships here in the harbor and the port. And I thought it was interesting that it's DHL Stadium there. How appropriate for us logistics folks. A little bit about you in what do you do for fun? What is fun to do around here as a hobby or
so much.
Yeah.
So much. So I love walking on the beach. I love spending my time outside. We visit Sandcob a lot. Sandcob is the South African Seabird Rehabilitation Center. We have the African penguin here, which is actually on the endangered list. And you can go and see them actually at the boulders and Table View. So any chance I get to take a walk or go and see them and just be on the beach with my daughter is my favorite thing. Reading. I'm a prolific reader. I think personal growth is one of my key values in life. So I read a lot and engaging with people. I enjoy that quite a lot. And just being still. I think we underestimate the importance of just really decompressing on the weekend and just spending time with your thoughts, with yourself, and just sort of calming it down. There's a lot happening right now everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it's important to just have that decompression time.
Engaging with people. Do you have any resolutions or goals for this year related to networking and engaging?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah? So I'm 52 this year, and I decided that I want to have 52 coffees. I have quite a large network, but you don't get to see people. Life goes, you're busy with work, you're busy with deadlines. And so I'm trying to create my connections a lot better, and I really want to have more coffees. And funny, we were talking about this because you also have a deadline, a resolutions, and I think it's so amazing. You want to share yours a little bit?
I started my, I had this idea that if you're going to be a content creator and someone who promotes the industry, then you need a podcast, a YouTube channel, an Instagram, and a book. So, so my book idea is to aggregate 52 short stories from...
what are the chances?
Yeah.
52 is the number.
It's one per week of the year, or one per year of your life. So it's all good, you know.
Fantastic.
It's
I
good to
look
have.
forward to connecting afterwards. Let's swap notes.
Okay, okay. I'm kind of interested to learn more about the inspiration and motivation for the supply chain awards.
So the Africa Supply Chain Awards came about actually with a cup of coffee that I had with Jenny Vroom. I've always been very passionate about supply chain and also Africa supply chain, because Africa, I think, defines resilience,
Hmm.
right? We've very challenging environments to operate in. And best practice in Africa might look very simplistic. I mean, it could just be a cold chain solution or something really simple that's quite advanced in Europe. But for the continent and where some of the countries are at, it's revolutionary. So we wanted to have a look and see, well, let's celebrate this. Let's highlight the guys that are doing it right. Let's share the stories with everyone so we can learn and uplift the industry.
Yeah.
And it was actually coming out of COVID that we had these conversations. And we are now, it's our 5th anniversary. It's year 5, which we were both like, whoa, year 5. I mean, this is just amazing. We've come so far. We have a panel of really amazing judges. They represent industry associations across South Africa and Africa.
Yeah.
And they are just as passionate about this as what we are. And it makes such a difference because they mentor entrants. They really tackle the entries to understand what is it that you're actually trying to achieve here, and sharing the stories, the good news stories back. And I'm really privileged to be part of a program like the Africa Supply Chain Awards that can actually share and showcase what we do in Africa.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult. So there's plenty of horror stories, but there's also plenty of really exciting stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a bit of an eternal optimist, so I like to focus on those. Innovation, creativity, optimization. What can we do to improve and make it better? And that's really the mission of ASCIA, is to showcase and highlight supply chain excellence in Africa.
You know, in talking with various stakeholders while I've been here, I've talked with a number. There was a quick data point that was shared, which is that on the road, a truck between Joburg and Cape Town can make this journey in about 3 days there and back.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it was 2,000 or 3,000 kilometers or something like that. And basically they said a similar type journey that would go through other countries here in Africa or have to cross multiple borders could take 1 to 2 months to accomplish the same thing.
Just to get over the border can take weeks.
So it seems like, the drivers can be at a border crossing for a week or 2 just waiting. And so, I hear those kinds of things, and maybe other logisticians around the world hear those things and just have nightmares. And so it feels like where the challenges are big, then the opportunities are big also.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a National Logistics Council that looks at that, working with stakeholders like SAF, which is the South African Freight Forwarders Association, and the Road Freight Association. So a whole bunch of key industry stakeholders have got together and discussed this very issue, because congestion at ports obviously stops trade. It's bad for the environment because you've got all these trucks idling. It's safety issues, security issues. It's really not ideal. So one has to work together as an industry to try and overcome this. And I think there's a lot of great work being done to address this.
Is there one example, you mentioned a while ago, horror stories and success stories. Is there one that kind of comes to mind that might be characteristic of the kinds of stories that you like to share?
Well, the one that it was one of our entrants actually last year that won the Judges Award for ASCIA, and they have a clinic in Eswatini in Swaziland, and using technology to deliver much needed antiviral drugs, and also if a snake bite happens in a rural area, it's a long way to get there, and it could result in a fatality. And we've got some really crazy snakes in this country, that they're using drones to fly antivenoms into the rural areas and deliver medication. And they actually built an oxygen plant during COVID because there was no spare oxygen, that they never had any deaths. And so Eka van der Wal and her project there, amazing. We've actually got a lot of information on our website. Please, I encourage our listeners to go have a look at it. But that's just an incredible story. Then we had a gentleman who he used blockchain to move things like mops and food and all sorts of things in conflict areas, So I think especially with Africa, where supply chains fail, like people can die. We're talking medicine, we're talking basics, medicines, food. So there's a lot of incredible stuff happening in terms of trying to get product amid all these setbacks like border waitings and crossings and things like that. Really, really using the technologies and basic supply chain fundamentals to be successful in getting these products out to the people. And that's really great. And of course, our truck drivers are the real heroes, in my view, because, we've got long distances to cover and they are the stars of the story, because a lot of our freight in South Africa has moved on road, particularly, and even in Africa, because the rail system can't really keep up, and hopefully that'll change over time, but right now it's not where it should be. So it's really important that our drivers are trained correctly and they know how to deal with a lot of things out there on the roads. It can get hairy, but they really are the true story. It's true heroes in many of these stories.
A big part of the reason why I came to Africa in general and I launched this project is because I think there's like not enough awareness around the world with other logistics and supply chain professionals that are aware of it. The lessons that can be learned regarding resilience, it's a popular term.
It is. What does it mean?
The industry, yes. But also because I think most reports and big economic papers out there say that Africa is poised to be, the next, big thing on the global stage.
No doubt.
And I think that as any supply chain person would think, supply chain is going to play a big role in that. And so I want to kind of be able to see and document and touch what it is today and be able to come back in the future and kind of see that progress. And I think that the supply chain awards help to further and meet that mission. Kind of curious what your thoughts are, being here on the ground, of the evolution of supply chain over the last years and what you see going forward.
So one of the biggest things is obviously the role of technology, and metrics are so important. We have that adage, you can't manage what you can't measure. But technology has really brought about this visibility of exactly where your driver is, what your truck is doing, where your goods are. You've got all these tracking devices, you've got all this means of getting information so that you can improve and on the flow of goods, etc. So that's critical. So the role of, I think, technology in supply chain has been quite a big game changer, and even specifically on the sustainability side as well. We have real-time carbon emission measure and monitoring of supply chains, which is really important. I've definitely seen from my area of expertise, which is on the sustainable supply chain, I've seen the growth move from, yes, sustainability in terms of getting data for client supply chains, so your scope 3 emissions, critically important now. Most companies had their scope 1 and 2 waxed, which was their own internal emissions until their factory gate. But now there's a lot more drive and impetus to understand, what is my responsibility with my supply chain emissions and what does that look like? And now we have the means through technology of measuring it and understanding that. And Africa, it's exciting. Look, there are challenges. I mean, with most countries there are, so it's not going to happen overnight. But there's definitely an evolution in that space. And what you said earlier about it being a great peg for economy boom, and that, absolutely, I have no doubt. But it's a different way of doing business, and you have to be open to that, and to fully understand, how do you tackle that and how do you take advantage of it in terms of maximizing your supply chain in these environments. It's critical. So for me on the ground and being there at the coalface is critically important.
Right.
But it's exciting. I think there's a lot of opportunities.
Well, thanks for taking a few minutes this morning to stop by and say hi. And
absolutely,
nice to meet you. And I'm looking forward to kind of keeping up with what you're doing with the programs.
Looking forward to swapping our notes.